The Lake Erie Grape Discovery Center is the official visitor center for the New York State Lake Erie Concord Grape Belt Heritage Area. Supporting and promoting the grape industry, visit us and learn about grape growing history in the Lake Erie region. Shop for grapey gifts, taste local wine in a Concord vineyard. Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie. From the Access Channel 5 studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Channel 5. Continuing the traditions of Senior Report, we are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week, countywide, from 9 to 10 a.m. Join us by calling in live, emailing us, or checking out our social media. And now, from the Channel 5 studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Hey, good morning and happy Saturday to you all. We are live this week. Last week, you may remember that we were pre-recorded because some of us here at the studio were busy doing something, and that something was the Ride for Roswell. And there we are. We got our picture ahead of time. We're all smiling there except for Randy. I'm not sure what Randy's deal was. He was sweating to death. It was warm there at UB. But let's see if I can go right down the line. In the yellow is Randy. You did 44 miles. Galen Zook, he did a 102-mile ride. Jeff, what was yours, 34? He's 34, and then of course me on the end. I did 44 with Randy. So an inspiring event, and if you've never been to the Ride for Roswell, there was 7,500 riders. They figured, total of 10,000 people involved by the time you got all the parties counted, and $4.6 million they raised that day. So quite an accomplishment for a bunch of people on bikes, and that was my first time out. And my wife said when I got home, "You're going to do it again?" I go, "How you know?" Because I could tell by your enthusiasm. So I guess you might as well put me down again for next year. I don't know, but that 44 miles was a doozy.
Can we put you down for the 100?
No, not the 100. No. Not, at least not at this point. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. 44 was enough. But we rode along the Niagara River, and that was spectacular. And the vistas were just gorgeous, and it was just a beautiful day. And it was a good thing, and I felt like I was part of something important. So that was really nice. So thanks to the crew here, we pre-recorded last week, and Joe Gerasi was willing to come in later after the week before show, and we put that all together for you. So I hope you enjoyed that. We got a month of July now full of great shows. There's 5 shows this month, and I'll tell you a little bit more about today's show here in a bit. But I want to welcome you, and especially if this is your first time with us, or if you're returning back to the area for the summer, welcome back to Chautauqua Sunrise, especially our friends over at Chautauqua Institution. I know that you're watching the show quite often, and just in case you get involved with this show later on, or you can't watch it right now, they broadcast us at 2 and 8 every day right out of Access 5 here in Mayville. And you can pick us up in Jamestown, you can pick us up in Fredonia, and I want to do a special shout out to my listeners on WRFA Tuesdays at 1 o'clock at 107.9, low power to the people. You can catch us then as well, and if you get the app, you can listen to our show on your phones or iPads, as well as all the great broadcast material that they have at WRFA, our good friends at the radio station there at the Reg. I have a few things to share with you today, and then we're going to get into our show. So let me put on the specs and go from there. The first word I have here is the weather. Well, it is interesting weather, isn't it? One day we are having a beautiful summer day, and then the next thing you know, we're having cloudburst, lightning, and who knows what all. Last night, Will and I, we played over at the Lakewood Rod and Gun Club. Great facility. I want to say hello to everybody over there. But the thing that was most interesting was we got done around midnight. We're packing up all our gear, and I hear like this kind of groan from Will, and I go, "What's the matter?" And I looked outside, and there was lightning bolts coming down, raining, torrential rain. So that really altered the way we packed. It was called quick. We had to get out of there fast. So anyways, so the weather's supposed to improve today, and I know people have weddings and 4th of July parties and all kinds of family get-togethers, so it looks better. So just hang in there, it will improve. I don't know about you guys, but our fruits, bushes and trees are starting to really bear fruit. And the reason why I mention it is because we've got blueberries at our house, and they're about the size of quarters. They're ready to burst from all this rain. And this is the best time of the year. I love this time of year because you go out there, pick some berries, throw them right into your cereal bowl or whatever, or your fruit salad, and it's just right there, right homegrown, and just so good. Now, probably the most important thing I want to share with you is today we are officially 3 years old. Today's our birthday, and we start right now our 4th season at Chautauqua Sunrise. How is that possible? I don't know. They told me we're on show 157, and it's been a phenomenal ride so far. We are going strong. We've got lots of people scheduled for many shows to come. So thanks to you for sticking with us, and we appreciate your support as well as our underwriters that you see in the beginning of the show. So I have some things to share with you from the community as always, because this show is all about Chautauqua County. And so let's get right to it. Now, Infinity has a lot of stuff to talk about, so here we go. 14th Annual Local Music Showcase. This is one of those mark your calendars, as we mentioned. It's going to be on September 9th. Okay, basically it's 50 local bands get together, and they show up at different locations. They don't get together, I shouldn't say. They show up at different locations throughout Jamestown. I think there's like a dozen venues. For instance, I'm at Phoenix Rising Fitness Center, and they perform for an hour and then take a break, and then another band comes on and so on. And for one money, $10 I believe, you get a wristband, and you can walk all over Jamestown on September 9th and check out all the varieties of music that's in this area. You're going to hear country, you're going to hear rock, you're going to hear heavy-duty metal, you're going to hear acoustic rock like I do, and just all kinds of great talent. They donate their time, and they have folks that do the sound for us. So that's coming up September 9th. Check it out. All right. Pulse Poetry Slam Open Mic Night. It looks like Mick Night, but it's Mike Night. They torture me with all the P's on this. So you ready? Here goes. Listen to this. Gotta dry my lips. Calling all poets and poetry lovers, the Infinity Visual Performing Arts Center will be hosting the Pulse Poetry Slam Open Mic Night on Thursday, July 6th at 6 p.m. at the Infinity Arts. Poets and audience members are welcome. Pulse Poetry Slam are free, family-friendly, and open to the public. Performance poetry is an excellent way to express creativity while practicing performance and public speaking. How'd I do? I think I got all my P's in there. I think there's 37 P's in that announcement. Anyways, a poetry slam is basically where a bunch of poets get together, they share their best material, and they actually judge they give out little prizes and things like that. So I've seen some of them on YouTube, and as you know, we had the folks from Pulse Poetry here, and they were phenomenal. So shout out to Autumn, Echo, and the crew, and that should be a lot of fun. So again, that's July 6th. That's coming up this week. Okay, Kaleidoscope Performance. Students from the Infinity Performing Arts Center will be showcasing their talents at a Kaleidoscope Performance on Friday, July 7th, so the very next day from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the Infinity Arts Cafe. Kaleidoscope nights are an ever-changing but interesting mix featuring a wide variety of performers such as music, poetry, dance, theater, and so on. Infinity instructors or invited guests from the community will be performing. The show is always different. The event is free, family-friendly, and open to the public. And finally, from Infinity, spend your summer exploring the arts. The Infinity Visual and Performing Arts Center has a fun-filled lineup of day camp and mini camps for summer 2017 that you're not going to want to miss. The day camps include Music and Art Explorers, Music and Arts Time Machine, let me get that right, Music and Arts Time Machine, Center Stage Academy, and Infinity's Excellent Adventure. For day camp descriptions or a list of mini camps, visit Infinity online at infinityperformingarts, all one word, .org, or call the center at 664-0991. Camp experiences are available for all ages and skill levels. Randy, what are you doing this summer? You can sign up. Okay, let's go to the next announcement. We have a slide for this. The Dunkirk Fredonia Rotary 53rd Fly-In Breakfast. 53 years they've been doing this. At the Dunkirk Airport, it'll be held next week, Sunday, July 9th from 8 a.m. to noon. I know they're excited because I know those folks up there, and they're getting ready to serve you all-you-can-eat pancakes, eggs, sausage, coffee, and juice. Adults, $7. Where can you get that for $7? Children under 12, $4. All proceeds benefit local charities. Public is welcome, free parking. There will be airplane rides available, craft show and sale, famous basket raffle, door prizes, a 50-50 raffle, and just a whole lot more. And for those of you up that area, if you're interested, check out any Rotarian that's up there. There's a whole bunch up there. A lot of my friends are up there, and they'll get you tickets. Okay, moving along, let's go to Westfield. The Westfield Memorial Hospital Foundation is pleased to announce that the Schultz Auto Group is sponsoring the Hole-in-One for the Foundation's 25th annual golf tournament to be held on Friday, July 14th. The Hole-in-One contest offers amateur golfers, I'm not even to that level, participating in the tournament opportunity to compete for a chance to win a 2017 Chevy Cruze. And it's pictured right there. This fun and exciting silver anniversary event will be held on the lake course at the Chautauqua Golf Club. There's still openings available for those who want to join in the fun and support our community's hospital's latest project. The proceeds from the event will benefit the hospital's foundation, and their goal is $650,000 to renovate our emergency department, or what they call the RED campaign. For more information about this year's golf tournament, including registration or sponsorship, as well as the schedule, give Patty DePalma a call at 793-2338. Again, 793-2338. Or go to their website at westfieldhospitalfoundation.org. I had to make sure that was a website and not an address. I'll be there that day on July 14th. I help with the folks coming in, and we sell them raffle tickets, and they have all these crazy things that they do. I forgot what they're all called. Contests out on the greens, like hole-in-ones, closest to the holes, right, and right, things like that. Longest drive. I'm getting all this information as I speak. I just ask for things and it arrives. Okay, this next slide is a new one. I haven't read this one before. We talked about these folks a couple years ago, as I recall. Ron and Nancy One-Song will be performing at the Celeron Legion Post 777 in Jamestown on Sunday, July 16th. The concert will start at 2 p.m. They have been at the Ryman Auditorium down in Nashville Nightlife Theater, the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame, and the legendary Lafayette Hotel in San Diego. They've been on the guests. They have been guests on radio and television, and they've hosted a live show on WXRL for several years. Okay, and they're going to be there and at the Legion in Celeron. And if you have any questions, give them a call at 483-0777. Okay, let's go to Jamestown. Christmas in July, Toys for Tots. It's coming up. We're finally in July, so we can talk about it. July 29th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Resource Center's administration offices on 200 Dunham Avenue in Celeron. Vendors are still wanted, and tables range from $25 for a single to $40 for a double. Also, they ask the vendors contribute up an item for the Chinese auction. All money benefits to Toys for Tots, and this is for 2,400 children in the community to have a better Christmas. For more information, give Evelyn Wright Kegelmeyer a call at 661-1429. All right, let's go to the next one. We're going back to Jamestown. The Jamestown Community Chamber of Commerce will be presenting a Jamestown Cruise-In. August 18th, we'll be talking about this for a little bit, in downtown Jamestown, so mark your calendar. This event will harken back to the roots of the original event, featuring classic cars, live music, and fun activities for all ages. For more information, give a call at the Chamber of Commerce. I'll get it right. It's too early. 338-6089, and we'll talk more about this as the weeks come along. Okay, here's a new fun event coming up. Now, another one in August. Mark your calendar. Saturday, August 19th, over at Webb's in Mayville at 9 a.m. This will be sponsored by the Westfield Mayville Rotary Club, my home club, and they're going to have a little miniature golf tournament. All proceeds will go to the Rotary Foundation that is trying to obliterate polio throughout the world. It's a pretty modest fee. Team entry is only $50 for a foursome, which gets you 18 holes of mini golf. I can do that. I'm not very good on the real thing. They're looking for sponsors. If you're interested, $50, and overall sponsors still being sought for $500. And every single dollar that they get is matched to up to the point that it becomes $6. So that's pretty good. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is real involved with Rotary International, and we'll be talking about that more as we go. And then just as a couple different reminders before we get to our regular show here. There's events going on all weekend, probably starting today, but especially tomorrow through the 4th. And one that's kind of going to be a fun one is tomorrow over in Ripley. There's going to be a parade at 1:30, and it's going to be music in the gazebo at 2:30. The parade is at 1:30. Jim Cunningham, friends of mine, and Sue Tillotson, who've been on the show, will be providing music in the gazebo right down the middle of town at 2:30. Earlier in the day, there's a 5K race. Meters is sponsoring a cruise-in. It's going to be a lot of fun in Ripley tomorrow. I will be narrating the parade there. And speaking of parades, the XS5 crew through the show Destination Chautauqua will be on hand once again at the Mayville Parade on the 4th of July, starting, I don't even know, what time does the parade start? 9 o'clock? 10 o'clock? 9 o'clock? I don't even know what, 10? 10 o'clock. And I will be moderating it with my guest co-host this year, Rick Miscaro from the Lakeshore Center for the Arts, who is absolutely a riot. I think it's going to turn more into a comedy show than it will be a parade. But anyway, so it'll go live next Tuesday, the 4th of July, and then it'll be rebroadcast thereafter. All right, so folks, we're going to take a public service announcement, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
You're going to need me. You're going to need us. All of us. You're going to need our help with your water, your air, your food. You're going to need our determination, our compassion. You're going to need the next generation of leaders to face the challenges the future will bring. And we promise we'll be there when you need us.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Chautauqua Sunrise. I'm Doc Hamels, and that little clip just now talked about 4-H and developing leaders. You know, it's all about mentoring, it's all about education, it's all about people, helping young folks to move up through life and so on. And that's just a great segue right to my guest today. Dr. Kirk Young is with me, and he's the Vice President at JCC, and he's going to tell us about what all that means here in a minute. But JCC has been really the backbone of a lot of folks' education here for many, 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 many years. So good morning and welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. I'm excited to be here. I appreciate the chance to be here.
Well, you know, Kirk, you spoke at our Rotary Club. I don't even remember when it was. Was it in the wintertime or something? And that's how far in advance I'm booked. And I remember saying, let's get together. And today was the first opportunity I think we could find that we could get you here. So, Kirk, you've been involved with education a long time. So tell us a little bit about yourself and where you come from.
Okay. Well, like you said, I'm Vice President there at JCC. I'm the Vice President for Institutional Advancement and Enrollment Management.
What does that mean?
Well, a couple of things. One, enrollment management, that is the position, and it's actually a growing and emerging field in higher education, but it's essentially the individuals that are responsible for, obviously, growing enrollment. And
So like recruitment and
exactly.
public relations and being on the Chautauqua Sunrise.
Right, exactly. It's interesting to watch kind of the history as higher education has evolved over the years, and I mean, quite frankly, back in the mid-1900s, higher ed was really just something people did. It really wasn't something, people would go to their local either community college or their local school or institution or maybe the place where their parents went or something like that. But then throughout the latter half of the 20th century, as things got really competitive in higher education, this field of enrollment management emerged, and essentially it's kind of the sales side of higher education.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, you watch TV, and I mean, you've got the online colleges now. I mean, they've gone totally viral. So I mean, it's not even brick and mortar anymore. It's education in any shape, form, flavor you want, isn't it? So it must be pretty tough for you to keep up with all that.
It is. You know, most of my career outside of higher ed, I came into higher ed actually after having worked for a number of years in the public sector, and I worked in sales, and that was what I did.
What'd you sell?
For my career? Well, I started in lumber sales. I worked in the construction industry.
But you know, that's so pertinent in education. People don't realize that. When I was a school superintendent, I had a $10 million capital project, and I was sitting out in a trailer waiting to get back into an office.
Right.
So you learn a lot about construction.
Right.
So I can imagine that would be very applicable here for you.
Well, it was, and it was a wonderful opportunity for me to work in outside of higher education. But the thing for me, and the reason I am where I am now, is, and nothing against the construction industry or anything like that, but for me, having the opportunity to sell education was the greatest thing for me. It's a product that I believe in 110%, and quite frankly, having experienced me being a byproduct of education. I mean, education absolutely changed my life. As you talk to almost everybody that's taken part in higher education, that's the effect that it has. And so for me to have the opportunity to be in a field where you get to offer and provide and sell that product was where I wanted to be.
Now, you're not homegrown, right?
No, I'm not. So I came here, like I say, about 3 years ago. I am from the state of Utah, born and raised there, spent all of my life there. My wife is from a small town up in the mountains of Utah, and that's where I spent most of my career in higher education, and most of my career was involved in enrollment management. And then I had an opportunity to come out here 3 years ago. And
we have a picture of your family, don't we?
I think so.
Jeff, can we bring that picture up? Just okay, give him a second. So we'll keep talking. Utah. I was just there this spring.
Really?
Everybody here at the station knows what I was doing. Barb and I have been to 43 states at that point, but we had never gotten to that middle core.
Yeah.
So Utah, Iowa, Nebraska, and all that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see what your family looks like. I know Katie's been on the show. There they are.
Yep.
So I'm seeing 1, 2, 3 children.
3 kids. Yep.
2 girls and a boy, or 2 boys?
2
and a
boys and a girl.
Okay, I couldn't tell from her. My eyes aren't that good.
And that was that was about 3 years ago. That was the first summer after we had moved here. We moved here in August, and then, so I guess it was about 2 years ago. And then the following summer, we went back for a big family reunion. And so these were photos that were taken.
Oh, nice.
And
nice
so
picture.
my oldest son standing there is now, we measured last night. He's 1 inch shorter than I am.
Oh my gosh, doesn't take long, does it?
No. And then our other boy, and then our daughter there. So
How old is she now?
She's 5, almost 6.
Going to school?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's riding the bus to school and loving life.
Mm-hmm. So now, Dad, you got to say hello to each one of them by name, because when they watch the show later, they're going to say, he mentioned my name on TV, so go ahead and say hi to your kids.
Well, McKay, my oldest,
Okay.
I want to say hi to Mac. We call him Big Mac.
Big
McKay.
Mac.
And he's 13, almost 14 years old, loving life here.
Yeah.
Just got back from Boston with his school.
What schools he goes
school
to?
trip. He goes to Southwestern.
Okay.
The middle school group just went to Boston, and then our middle son Connor,
Okay.
and then our daughter Hallie, and the two of them just got back a few days ago with my wife from Disneyland. So
Life is good.
So my oldest went to Boston, the two youngest and my wife went to Disneyland, and I stayed back here to pay for it all.
Good. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
Now, those names all sound Irish or Scottish to me. Was there, or am I wrong on that?
But you're right. Well, McKay is a Scottish name,
Mhm.
and it was one that my wife actually years and years ago just kind of fell in love with, and
Mhm.
it was one that we decided to name our oldest son, and we enjoy it. I have English and Scottish heritage.
Okay. Well, see, I'm part Irish, so I pick up on those things.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, and I forgot to mention this. I'm remiss. Since the last show, we have a new addition to our family talking about Scottish names. Well, this is Irish name. Rowan Riker Hamels down in Florida. Rowan and his 3 brothers are loving it. He finally got home. So anyways, I don't have pictures. I don't do that.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was nothing. Anyways, yeah, my wife can't wait to get down there. But anyways, get back to Utah. Never been there before. And, of course, you go to Salt Lake City, and it's phenomenal there. It's like, I never would dream there's like a New York City in the middle of Utah. But friendly people. Now, did you live near Salt Lake or anything?
So I grew up, roughly about 30 miles south of Salt Lake City.
Okay.
And then my wife grew up, like I say, in a small mountain town. If any of your viewers watched the 2002 Winter Olympics, the main area where most of the Olympic venues were held was in Park City, Utah.
I think we went through that.
I'm
area.
sure you probably did.
Yeah.
Most people do. And she grew up in a farming community that's really about 4 or 5 miles away from Park City. So we got married. Once we got married 17 years ago. And just after we got married, we moved up to that small community. And so for the first 13 or so years of our marriage, we lived in that little mountain valley there in Utah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very pretty state. It's hot there right now, I hear.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
Not so-
it gets warm.
I would not have imagined that. But anyways, yeah, so when you had mentioned you were from Utah, wow, we just been there. Okay, so you're in Utah, you're selling lumber. How did you end up being a PhD? I'm still trying to connect the dots here.
Well, so for me, like I say, I was working in lumber sales, and quite frankly, I finished my undergraduate degree and had worked in lumber sales through most of my college career, and went to college part-time, having to work my way through college. My father was a general contractor, so I grew up working for him, and initially thought that I was going to take over my dad's business and live the blue-collar life that I had grown up in. And that was great, but then really during my undergraduate years fell in love with higher education. Graduated with a degree in psychology. From there I went and got a job working for an orthodontist. I was the office manager for quite a successful orthodontist in Salt Lake City.
No, wait a minute. You were selling lumber, you were a psych major, and you worked for a
Yeah,
dentist.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was quite the combination of experiences. I did that for a year. That was a good experience. I did it for a year. It was a tough job. I had quite a commute. And after a bit of time, I realized I wanted to go back into the sales industry, and so I went back into lumber sales. Did that for a few years. Excuse me. But then right around September 11th, the construction industry struggled quite a bit. And because of that, there were some layoffs and some other things, and maybe I was invited to go and pursue higher education. And so I went and got a master's degree in sociology, and then at that point started working in higher ed. Loved it, enjoyed it, worked in higher education for a while, and then after having worked there for about 3 or 4 years, my career was progressing quite well. Things were going well. I had been promoted a few times at the university that I was working at, but then I realized that I was only going to advance so far without a PhD. And so looked for an opportunity to pursue a doctorate degree. found a wonderful program in leadership studies at Gonzaga University up in Spokane, Washington. It was a private Jesuit school. If any of your viewers are familiar with college basketball, then I'm sure they've probably heard of Gonzaga. And so I had the opportunity to go and study the field of leadership at Gonzaga. Would travel up there, would take courses during the summers, and then on the weekends.
It's a little bit of a hike for you up to Washington from there.
It was. I would go up in the summertime for 2 months.
Yep.
I would drive up there. It was
Your
about
residency?
It was about a 10-hour drive, and I'd drive up there, and I would live in their dorms, study leadership, had a wonderful experience, and then I'd come back during the school year and work my job, and worked every day from 7:30 in the morning till 5:30 at night. And then on the weekends, I would fly up to Spokane. And so every Friday, I would work until about noon. And then at noon, I would jump in my car and run up to the airport there in Salt Lake City. And it was about an hour-and-a-half flight to Spokane. I'd have class from 6 to 10 on Friday night. I'd have class from 8 to noon on Saturday morning.
How long did it take you to
fly
get your
home.
PhD?
It took me a total of about 6.5 years.
Wow. That's dedication.
I blew through my coursework in about 3 years. I was making really, really, really good progress.
And then
my dissertation came along, and right at that time, unfortunately, our oldest son, McKay, was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes.
Oh.
And it really was right at the time that I was starting my dissertation research. And that was quite a life-changing experience, as anybody that deals with any chronic illness. And it kind of derailed things for about a year, and then I was able to get back in the saddle. Worked on my dissertation for a number of years, and actually just finished it my first year here. So we moved out here. I was finishing up my dissertation. I defended my dissertation on Skype from my office at Jamestown Community College.
I did mine by phone.
Did you?
I'm sitting here, I'm reliving the horrors of the PhD program. Mine didn't take as long, but I had one that almost derailed me, my life experience in the family. We won't go there. But if for those of you who are listening, if you don't have a PhD or you don't know anybody who's ever done a PhD, you don't see them for like 3-4 years.
Right.
I sat my family down and says, I want to talk to you guys, and they're all looking at me like, what, are we going to get a new puppy or something? I don't know. And I said, I want to do this, but you won't see a lot of me. And they didn't see a lot of me. I mean, I'd be working, on the weekends, writing papers and things like that. I don't have to tell you, but anyways, well, congratulations anyways. We both made it.
Yeah, exactly. We live to tell about it.
2 doctors in the studio today. Okay, so let's talk about JCC now. JCC to me has been, and I mentioned it in my opening comments, has been part of the culture of Chautauqua County. People say JCC, there we go, beautiful picture right there of the fountain and the campus and so forth, and it really is quite lovely there. But I remember it being called a junior college, and it always had this kind of weird connotation, like, is it a fake college? Is it a real college? Is it like a extension of high school? So what's that all about? Can you explain all that? I mean, why do they call it that? Do you still call it that, or what is it now?
Yeah, well, to be honest, having been here for over 3 years, or almost 3 years, I have never heard it referred to as a junior college officially. Maybe in the colloquial language that we run into as we talk to people throughout the community, here and there people may refer to it as a junior college. It's a institution of higher education.
Absolutely.
And actually having been here now for a number of years and having taught a few classes myself, but then also having had the opportunity to sit in on a number of colleges, as I'm sure your experience was as well, I've had the luxury or opportunity of attending many different institutions of higher education myself. JCC is every bit as high a quality institution as any of those places. Oh, absolutely. The faculty that we have at JCC are amazing. And I'm not just saying that because it's my job or anything like that. Again, I have worked at and attended a number of institutions of higher education, and the quality of our product is as high as the quality you'll see it anywhere else. One point that I love to make, for me, when I sat in some of my undergrad classes and when I was a teaching assistant during my master's degree program, I attended and worked in courses or classes where you would have over 300 students
Oh, yeah.
sitting in a course.
I had one of those.
I was a teaching assistant for an introduction to sociology class.
Oh my gosh.
There were over 300 students in there.
What do you hope to accomplish with something like that?
Well, I don't know, but I know my role as a teaching assistant. The professor asked me and 4 of the other teaching assistants to make sure we sat toward the back, because that's where all the football players sat, and they'd have their hoods
Yes,
on,
yes,
and they'd have their headphones
yes,
on, and they'd be
yes,
listening
yes.
to music the
I
whole
did that
time.
once.
So our job was to make sure people were even just paying attention in class.
So you really the class police.
Exactly.
Oh,
Our job
my
was
gosh.
to make sure that people were somewhat paying attention. So then you go to a course at JCC where, and we may see it in a slide later, our average class size is between 15 and 20 students.
Mm-hmm.
You have professors that have the opportunity to connect with those students. I had a student give a presentation the other day. We have at JCC the USA Scholarship, the Unified Student Assistance Scholarship, which is a scholarship that is awarded to any student within Chautauqua, Cattaraugus County, and parts of Pennsylvania. Any student that graduates in the top 20% of their high school graduating class can go to JCC with all their costs, all their tuition costs covered. So
For free.
Exactly. JCC will cover the cost of their tuition. And that USA Scholarship is an opportunity for us to attract many of those top performing students at their school. You'll see on there over 70 scholarships available at JCC. The student to faculty ratio 16 to 1. Quite often, again, you'll have a class where you may have 13 students up to a class of 20 to 25 students, as well as a number of degree and certificate programs that we offer there. You can see we've got roughly around 5,000 different students that walk in and out of the doors or take courses through JCC in some way
5,000?
every year. Yeah.
And those are all in a degree program or
Some are
continuing ed?
Right. Well, no, those are all degree seeking, or not degree seeking, but credit bearing students.
Okay, so
you
that's a
know, and
little outside of the other groups. right?
Exactly, and then you're right. Continuing education is also a big
'Cause I
part
work
of
for
what we
both,
do.
I've worked on both sides of the
Right.
of that. 5,000 students. They're not all in Jamestown.
No, no. So we have our main campus in
Okay.
Jamestown, obviously.
Down on Faulkner Street.
Yes, down on Faulkner Street, right next to the baseball stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a site in Dunkirk, our North County Education Center.
I've taught there.
And that's a wonderful opportunity for students in the north, on the north end of the
Now
county.
you have
to
two
take
different
advantage of
buildings in
it.
Dunkirk.
We do.
You have the old, is it St. Joseph's?
Well, yeah, you'll
It-
know
it's-
more
it's
about
an
that
old
than I
school-
will.
It's an old school.
It
for-
is,
for the
yes.
Children with disabilities. And then there's the real modern
Yep.
tech building. I was in the old building.
Okay, yeah, yep. And then we have our campus over in Olean,
Okay.
which is a wonderful facility over there, right in the main part of downtown. And then we also offer courses in the Education Center in Warren, Pennsylvania. We have courses that we offer
Oh, I
down
didn't
there as
know
well. Yeah, and so 4 different physical locations where individuals can take courses. And then, as you did allude to a little bit earlier, we also have an increasing number of online courses or online programs. So in addition to being able to take courses online, students can, in many cases, take full degree programs online. And we have a number of degree programs that they can complete online, and every year we're working toward adding more and more of those programs to make them available. So yes, not all of those 5,000 students are walking in the doors in Jamestown. Some are at many of our different sites, and some are taking courses online as well.
Okay. I was just going to ask you a question, and it just went through my brain like quick. Oh, I know what it was. No, it slipped again.
Well, let me just
Go
follow
ahead.
up on a.
I have this question because I'm listening to you, and I'm trying to write down notes. Go ahead.
Let me just follow up on a thought that I was alluding to earlier. We had talked about the class sizes there at JCC, and I was telling about an experience where one of our USA students, one of the recipients of that USA scholarship, was giving a presentation at a dinner. And he was talking about an experience he had in one of his classes. Now, this was a student that graduated, I believe, from Randolph
Okay.
High School, received the USA scholarship, wants to be an engineer. And he graduated at the top of his class. He was the valedictorian of his school. And then his friend, who was also one of the top students in his school, they both graduated. They both had the opportunity to go to JCC on that USA scholarship. However, his friend said, you know what, I want to go somewhere else to a 4-year institution. This young man, our USA scholar, he said, I want to go to a 4-year institution as well, but I also understand that if I go to JCC for 2 years, I'm going to get a high-quality education, but it's also not going to cost me anything. His friend went off, and by now, after 2 years of college, has incurred between $50,000 and $60,000 of student debt. This young man at JCC has gone for 2 years, has no student debt, but he was telling us an experience that he had in class. He said, look, I took the exact same course as my buddy who's at some other 4-year institution. He said, he is in a class with 300 students. He said, I was in a class with 16 students, and there was one day, it was an advanced math course or whatever, and he said there was a young man in the class that was really kind of struggling to catch the topic or the lesson of the day. And he said, our teacher stopped the class and said, look, and he turned to the 15 other students and he said, here's something that I want you to work on for the next half hour or hour. Gave them a project. They all got together, the 15 students, they were working on it together. This teacher went over and sat down with that one student and for almost an hour worked through the issue that student was having that day, gave them that one-on-one attention that they needed. That happens in our classes all the time. Got that student up to speed, the student got caught up, then the class went off and was doing what they were doing. And the quality of his education is, in my opinion, so much higher than that young man that's sitting in that class of 300 students paying, or incurring $60,000 of student loan debt just to have that opportunity.
The question I was trying to pull out of my brain, I wrote it down. It's exactly what you just said. But I'm going to come at it a different way. When I talk to young people and they say, they're thinking about going to college, and I'll ask them, what they're thinking about doing and so on. And it just depends on the individual, but very often I'll say, have you considered going to JCC? And they kind of look at me, well, that's a 2-year college. Right. And I'll say to them, how much do you think a course at JCC is going to cost you? And we make up some number. And I'll say, what do you think is going to cost you if you go to, I'll make up something, MTI or someplace else. And there's nothing wrong with any of these, not MTI.
MIT.
MIT,
right.
I do that a lot. Or any of these big fancy schools and that. And I'm not knocking those schools, but the point I'm making is that a lot of your coursework that you need to get a college degree are the same core subjects that you're going to take wherever. So your point is exactly right on target. An English course is an English course.
Right.
A math course is a math course. So why are you going to pay 3 or 4 times for that course? You're closer to home. And I've done the statistics. I've studied this subject because I was telling you earlier, I worked for BOCES for a zillion years, and we were trying to move them into higher education. And the success rate for a lot of the kids to go to a 4-year school, they've dropped out by Thanksgiving. The kids that went on to a 2-year program generally were still there and finished. Yeah. Right? True or false?
Right.
They're closer to home. It's a little bit slower pace as far as the community life and things like that. They're not going to a foreign land. They're not going to a city they don't know. Little less intense, Jeff said in my ear. And I don't think people always see it that way. The kids always want to get away from home. They want to get away. Well, sometimes we need to kind of steer them a little bit. So to me, JCC is like value added. It's just so much more. Okay, so so I think some of the colleges I've heard over the years, you're getting up towards that $30,000 a year range. I might be way off, but
no, you're not.
Okay,
you're not.
So what are you looking at here at JCC?
Well, and this was our tuition numbers from last year, but that's annual cost. That's how much it would cost a student in tuition for an entire year.
No. For folks that are listening on the radio, what would that be?
It's $4,500, about $4,500
for 1 year.
For 1 year, so that's two
semesters.
Right.
Yep. That's $2,200. Let's call it $2,300 for a semester.
Yeah. Yep.
You can't even buy books at the big schools for that.
Right, and then we have listed on this slide as well our annual cost for an out-of-state resident.
Okay.
$9,000. It's roughly twice the cost of the in-state tuition. Mm-hmm. As we have gone around and looked at those schools in Erie, Pennsylvania, even down to the Bradford area, that cost, it costs a student less to attend JCC and pay the out-of-state tuition cost than it would cost them to attend the schools, any of the schools in the Erie, Pennsylvania area or the Bradford area. Mm-hmm. So as we go and talk to those students in Pennsylvania, JCC is still the more affordable opportunity for them. And the big key is as well that many of our students will qualify for some form of financial aid, and so they're not paying that $4,500 out of pocket. They're paying less than that. And as we saw on a previous slide, we have over 70 different types, 70 different scholarships that we offer. One of my roles at JCC as well is I oversee our foundation, and so I oversee all of the fundraising that goes into providing all of those different scholarships for the students. We are every day working to increase the amount of money we're able to offer to students financially.
One of the other pieces of advice that I give students is this, and see if you are in sync with it. When kids go off to college, I try to explain to them, break it into pieces. You're going away for the first time in some cases, or you're taking coursework that's a little more rigorous than you're used to. Go for the associate's degree. And they look at me, and I go, because if you get the associate's degree and you say, I'm good, I'm ready to do something else other than school, higher education, they have a degree.
Exactly. Yep.
The amount of money that someone makes with an associate's degree is far more than someone with a high school degree. Am I on target here?
Absolutely.
And for some folks that might be in the trades or the technical fields, an associate's degree might be more than enough.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And then taking the associate's degree, then they can go for the next 2 years, and they can go to those other colleges we mentioned and finish up strong there.
Right. And that's what we tell a lot of students, and you talked about this a little while ago. You know, say a student wants to graduate from MIT, say that may be their goal in the end. You can go to JCC, save yourself half the cost of what it would cost you to attend MIT, but in the end, your diploma that's hanging up in your office or whatever still says MIT. Nobody's going to go to you and say, well, where did you get those first 2 years of college?
Right.
You know, and so, and like I said earlier, maybe in MIT may not be the direct comparison, but at many of those schools, you're probably getting more attention from your instructors at JCC, and you're probably getting a
And I think when you think of a 19-year-old, 18-year-old that's just left high school, they still need some of that mentoring. They need some of that directing that they need.
And that's where we often talk about, come be a part of the JCC family.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is a family. It's a place where you have faculty members who are highly, highly invested and interested in, you know, the success of their students. I hear story after story after story of a young man or a young lady that is struggling and they're having, you know, issues maybe outside of school. Again, you come to the JCC family, our professors, again, with the small class sizes and everything else, they're at a point where they can understand what's going on in a student's life, maybe a little bit outside of college, and they can work with those students, and they can help them be successful.
You know, I mentioned earlier that I was adjunct over the years, and I taught the special education course up at the North End, and you're exactly right. I think I had 12 students, and I know I had a couple of students that had family issues, whether it was a death in the family, someone was very ill, they had children or whatever, and I had the opportunity to sit and talk with them and say, you know, we're going to get through this.
Right.
Just hang with me. I'll get you through. Even if we have to do an incomplete, we will get this course done. Yep. Hang on a second. Folks, you're watching Chautauqua Sunrise. My guest today is Dr. Kirk Young. He's the Vice President at JCC. And if you have a question, you can give us a call at 753-5225. And before he leaves, he's going to give you a phone number that you can contact him at JCC if you have any questions. But we're talking about some good stuff here, education, higher education, and opportunities for yourself or your sons, daughters, nieces, or nephews. So I'm going to jump right into yourself. There's no age limit for college, right?
Absolutely not.
So what's your average age over there? Do you have that statistic at your fingertip?
Not at the top of my head.
But there's older folks there, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Displaced workers, people said, my kids are growing up, I want to go get that degree now.
Well, yes, absolutely. We have, and probably to community college, a higher ratio of individuals that come in. We call them non-traditional, or now that we call them post-traditional students. We have your regular high school graduate that comes right to JCC.
Sure.
But then we also have a number of individuals that come there later in life. And we do spend, you know, so for me on the recruitment side, we do spend a significant amount of time at businesses, working with local organizations that are helping people that are displaced workers, to help them take advantage of the opportunities at JCC. some of the feedback that I often hear is that is one of the reasons why the education at JCC is so rich, is because you have individuals in the classroom that have life experience.
Right.
You have people that have been out in the workforce and then have come back to school. I just finished teaching a leadership class at JCC this spring. I think about half of my students were individuals that were coming back later in life.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us to have a conversation about leadership, leading and influencing others, some of the discussions we had in there were amazing, because people were telling about experiences that they had in their lives at work or whatever years ago, and they were sharing those experiences with the students, and it just created a wonderful
It's that
environment.
multi-generational good stuff that goes on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I know you know this, and I don't know if you have all this at your fingertips or at the tip of your tongue, but how many? We're just answer this question, and we got a phone call in a second. How many different tracks of career paths do you have there?
That's a good question. As you saw on a previous slide, those that were seeing this, and for those that are maybe listening on the radio, we have 30 to 40 different degree programs that we offer at JCC, and we're adding programs all the time. Right now, we are working on adding programs in sport management.
Really?
And we're also working on adding a program in addictions counseling.
Oh.
Both of those programs are sitting at the state and SUNY level. We're waiting for approval from those institutions.
Mm-hmm.
We've been running an advertising campaign on the addictions counseling programs. Right now we're offering courses in addictions counseling, and we're hoping to have the approval to offer the full-fledged associate's degree here soon. But somebody can come to JCC, take all the courses they need to get their certification to be an addictions counselor. And so for the 3 years I've been here, every year we've added new programs.
Well, it's funny you mentioned addiction counseling, because that's what our show is going to be all about next week. But before we go there, we have a caller. So good morning, caller.
Well, good morning, Doc,
Oh,
and good
Linda.
morning, Dr. Young. This
Hello.
is Linda Spalding, and it's so great to hear the things that you're doing at JCC. One of my sons is a graduate of JCC.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's a wonderful school, and it really prepares people. He now is working at the University of Phoenix
Okay.
as a student loan counselor.
Good for him.
Yes, he's been there for some time.
Wow. So how you been? We pre-recorded last week, so we didn't get a chance to talk with you.
And I know I called in.
He's crazy. He's dragging me to Buffalo, and we were all over the place.
I had something prepared to say to
To Joe?
to Joe. That was a good show too. It was
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Joe's full of information. Good stuff.
He always is. He's got great information about scams for seniors. He's given presentations to them. He's
Do you
really
realize that scenario we talked about where they call hello grandpa, and that whole thing?
Yeah.
I got a call 2 days ago. This guy with an accent says, "Oh, Grandpa, do you know?" And I went, click. I said, I got your number. I already went through that deal. So, Linda, what's going on in your world today?
good. Well, it's going to be a nice weekend,
Yeah.
and things are being watered properly. We don't have to go out and water things ourselves.
Don't have to fill the ponds or pools, you're right?
And we've got the 4th of July weekend coming up. Are you going to have a live show, or are you taping that
Oh,
on Tuesday?
no. We're going Tuesday. Chris Burt in his Destination Chautauqua show. We're going to be narrating the parade again this year, so that'll be live. Yep.
Oh, live.
Yeah. So come on down.
Oh, but we can't call in, but it will be live.
Oh, you can't call in, but it'll be live.
Oh,
Right in front of the Mayville Library on a big old trailer. I'll
oh,
be
great,
using my sunblock.
great. Well, I'm wishing you a great weekend. And once again, we have services with the Chautauqua County Office for the Aging, and in particular the program that I direct, the Senior Employment Program. Also, we have free computer training at the Westfield Library and in Brockton. So people should contact us. The number is 753-4471.
All right, super. What are you doing for the 4th? Having family or just are going to lay low?
Just having a great time and going to enjoy myself.
All right, super duper. Well, if you're anywhere near Mayville, come on over to the stand and jump on the television with me.
Oh, it's always so much fun.
It is. All right, Lynn, thanks for calling. Good to hear from you.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Super. Kirk Young, give us a phone number or somebody, or how do people find out more about JCC? Obviously, you can go online and that, but personal touch, who do you talk to?
Well, and so call and ask for our admissions office. Our main number to JCC is 338-1000, and a student can call, anybody could call that number and ask for our admissions office. They'll be able to answer any questions that anybody would have. And you do mention our online resources. We work extremely hard to make sure that anybody can get any of the information that they need by going to our website.
One of the things that I had asked you I wanted to talk about today, and this was right around when I heard you talk at our Rotary Club, was Governor Cuomo was proposing, and I guess he has passed,
Right.
I'm not sure, something, I don't even know what it's called, but it's kids get free tuition, blah, blah, blah. And there's more to that because it seems really cool that everybody's going to get a college tuition for free, but what are the ins and outs and the details on that?
Well, I don't know if we have enough time left in
All
your
right, well,
show
just
to be
give me
able to cover all
the
of it.
short version.
But the short version is that individuals who come from a family or a household that makes less than $100,000 per year
Okay.
can attend any of the state institutions, so any of the SUNY institutions for free. The scholarship is called the Excelsior Scholarship, the Excelsior Scholarship Program. And quite frankly, anybody that's interested in that, if you fall into that category of household income, then you ought to look that up. The Higher Education Services Corporation, I believe it is, it's HESC, H-E-S-C. The HESC website has all of the information regarding that Excelsior Scholarship, and that they have the application for that scholarship right there. A student, we don't house the application, so if a student wants to apply for that scholarship, they do need to go to that HESC website. I believe
So this is like TAP or anything else you got to apply?
well, that's what it is. Yeah, exactly. And that's the way it worked out. And again, we don't have time to get into all of the nuances and maybe the political nuances of that. But it's additional financial aid. It is like TAP. It is like Pell. It's what is called a last dollar scholarship. So essentially what happens is a student who comes from a household that makes less than $100,000, they would apply for financial aid, so federal aid, so the Pell Grant, state aid, the TAP program, and any other scholarships that they would qualify for. So once they take into account all of those financial aid resources, whatever amount of tuition is left for them to pay for would be covered by the Excelsior Scholarship.
Okay, so folks, they're listening right now. It might be a little late at the moment, but sometimes they're in office still during the summer. Go see your school guidance counselor to get some of this paperwork figured out, or you have folks there to help?
Well, absolutely, yes. I mean, you contact JCC, and we have people on staff every day, all day. Our financial aid office, this has become, in some cases, priority number one for them. A lot of the questions that they're getting are regarding this free college tuition. The application itself, and this again is all controlled by the state, it's all controlled by the governor. The application itself is only open until July 21st.
Oh,
and so if somebody
good thing
wants
you're on the show right now.
if somebody wants to qualify for that free college tuition, they have to apply for that by July 21st. We've been doing everything we can to get the word out. If you do, if you watch TV, the state is running a number of commercials right now on the Excelsior Scholarship as well.
We have less than a minute left, but can you give us a real quick thing on MTI? I mentioned MTI, it's still in my brain.
Right.
That's near and dear to my heart.
Oh, we love that facility. We have just recently undergone a complete renovation of that Manufacturing Technology Institute there at JCC. We have one on our Jamestown campus. We built an entire new facility in Olean on our campus there. Manufacturing technology. If you're interested in going into any form of manufacturing, even the engineering side of things, we have the facility for you. It is state-of-the-art, totally up to date, and the programs that we're able to offer through there, it spans all the way from welding technology, if you want to be a welder, all the way up to some of the advanced manufacturing type things, the CAD CNC, the machine tool technology. Any of those programs, we offer those associate's degrees, and like you said, many of those programs somebody can walk right into a career.
All right. Super. Folks, you've been watching Chautauqua Sunrise, and my guest today has been Dr. Kirk Young, the Vice President of JCC. Kirk, thanks for joining me today.
Thank
We're
you.
going to have to do this more often.
My pleasure, absolutely.
Anytime. All right, so folks, check out JCC 338-1000 for more information. We're going to do this all again next Saturday morning right here at 9 a.m. in Access 5 in downtown Mayville, New York. So have a great 4th of July. Use the sunscreen and check us out at the Mayville Parade. It's going to be a lot of fun. And check out all your local festivities. I'm Doc Hamels saying have a great weekend, and we'll see you all next time. Take care.